I've been camping countless times, mountains, forests, even deserts. Nothing ever bothered me. I prided myself on that. I wasn't one of those nervous types who freak out over every rustle in the woods or shadow in the dark. But this trip, this trip was different. And now sitting here writing about it, I still can't shake the feeling that something is out there watching me. It all started when I decided to head out to a remote mountain range for a weekend solo camping trip. I'd been running my outdoor adventure blog for a while, and I figured it was time to get some real content, something raw, something real. I wanted my readers to feel like they were with me, experiencing the wild. So I packed up, grabbed my camera gear, and drove into the mountains, far away from civilization. I'd done this before, but this time there was a strange sense of isolation in the air. It was quiet, unnervingly quiet, but I didn't think much of it. It was just the kind of place that would make for a perfect camping experience. I set up camp around midday, the sun still high in the sky, casting long shadows across the rugged landscape. The air was crisp, the kind that makes you feel alive. I shot a few videos talking about my gear, the campsite, and the view. The kind of stuff my followers expected. Everything felt perfect. I even made a joke about how peaceful it was, how no one else would dare to come up this far. But as nightfall crept in, the forest changed. The quiet became oppressive, suffocating. It wasn't just the absence of sound, it was the feeling of being surrounded of something out there, just waiting. But I pushed that aside. I wasn't going to let my nerves ruin the experience. I stoked the fire, ate my meal, and then crawled into my tent, my phone in hand, scrolling through the comments and messages from my followers. Everything felt normal until I woke up. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I heard it, the sound that shook me to my core. Footsteps. Heavy, deliberate steps, crunching through the underbrush just outside my tent. Slow, calculated, not the sound of animals. No, this was too human. My heart slammed in my chest. I held my breath, straining to hear. Maybe it was another camper, right? Just some hiker out for a midnight walk? But there was something wrong. The footsteps weren't random, they were too steady, too rhythmic. Step, pause, step, pause. Circling my tent like they knew exactly where I was. I forced myself to stay still. I didn't want to make a sound, didn't want to give away my presence. My hands trembled as I reached for my flashlight. I didn't want to shine it out into the darkness. What if they saw me first? What if they knew I was awake? But I couldn't help myself. I had to know what was out there. I had to see. I slowly unzipped the tent, just enough to peer outside. My breath caught in my throat as I scanned the darkness. The forest was still. The fire had burned down to a few embers, and the shadows seemed deeper than they should have been. I couldn't see anything, no sign of anyone. But then, I heard it again. A soft scraping sound. Faint at first, but unmistakable. It came from the side of my tent, right near the fabric. As if someone had dragged their hand slowly along it, almost testing it. I froze. I thought my heart might explode from the sheer terror. I pressed my back to the inside of the tent, the breath leaving my body in shallow gasps. My mind raced. Who was out there? And why wouldn't they just leave me alone? Another scrape, this time louder, right at the top of the tent near the entrance. Like something, or someone, was right on the other side. I couldn't see through the fabric. My flashlight lay just out of reach, still in my bag. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. What if they were waiting for me to make a sound, to give myself away? And then I heard it, clear as day, a voice, a whisper. I know you're in there. I almost screamed, but I bit it back. My mouth went dry and I was paralyzed. The voice was low, gravelly, too calm for someone who just snuck up on a camper in the middle of nowhere. My mind scrambled for an explanation. Maybe it was some prank, right? Someone messing with me. But deep down, I knew it wasn't a joke. The footsteps began again. This time they were right outside the tent, right beside me. The air felt thick, suffocating, and my pulse pounded in my ears. I could feel the weight of someone standing just inches away. I wanted to call out, but I couldn't bring myself to. What would I even say? Help? No one would hear me. I had to get out. I had to do something. I reached for my knife. My hand shook as I gripped the handle, but I couldn't bring myself to cut my way out of the tent. I was terrified of what I'd find on the other side. The footsteps moved again, this time slow, almost mocking. They circled the tent like they were toying with me. I couldn't see a thing, but I felt them out there, waiting for me to make the next move. I don't know how long I sat there, my breath coming in ragged gasps, the terror slowly turning my bones to ice. Every creak, every snap of a twig outside the tent had me on edge. Then, as if by some sick twist of fate, the footsteps stopped. The silence was so intense, I thought I might go insane. My heart was still hammering, my mind racing with thoughts of what I should do next. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't. I waited for what felt like an eternity. And then, slowly, carefully, I unzipped the tent just enough to peek outside. The forest lay still, bathed in the pale light of the moon. Nothing was moving. No shadow, no figure. The footsteps had stopped, and the voice had gone quiet. But there, at the very edge of the tree line, I saw it. A shape, dark, blending with the shadows. A person, or something like it, standing motionless, watching. I slammed the zipper shut, grabbing my gear in a frenzy. I didn't care about the fire, the tent, or my camera. I just had to leave. I've never been so scared in my life. And even now, as I sit here writing this, I keep feeling like someone's watching me. I don't know who or what was out there that night. But I swear to God, I'm never going back, and I'll never camp alone again.